Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the only live Monday through Friday lacrosse talk show on the planet. I am your host, Michael Karvelis, and this is Daily Dive. It is Wednesday, May 13th, 2026, and this show begins now. We are live streaming via the airwaves of North American Talk Radio's YouTube channel. Thank you for tuning in, subscribing, and all the great stuff that you do to support this channel and show. On today's awesome episode, I'm going to first get into my reaction to CJ Kirst winning Rookie of the Year and who was my top 5 submitted ballots. Then we will do top 4 most likely to win finals MVP if Toronto wins it. Everyone knows I picked Halifax. We'll do that tomorrow, but we're going to do Toronto today. Not my picks for finals MVP, but what is the path for them to win. Then I'll get into our next 2 blocks of what's next, specifically for the Rochester Nighthawks and the Calgary Roughnecks. And finally, I will talk about a Lax Mag article, and as we talk about the MVP getting announced at 4 o'clock Eastern, I will, obviously everyone talks about Brad Dobson a bunch, so I'll get to a great point that Paul Tutka of the Lax Mag made. With that being said, head over to natalkradio.us/NLL to get NLL merchandise. Of course, this applies to United States residents. If you're in Canada, you can still use this link to shop other places on Amazon, but for this specific promo, it is United States residents for now. Alrighty, let's get into what was just announced just moments ago, my reaction and ballots. CJ Kirst has won Rookie of the Year. And of course, CJ Kirst's numbers, they were freaking fantastic. Led the Toronto Rock in all rookies with 30, I lied, not all rookies, but he had 34 goals. And in fact, I'll just get to that real quick because I know it was Nolan Byrne above him on that. But CJ Kirst was second in goals with 34. He had a rookie high 71 points. Also had 3 power play goals, had 95 loose balls, which is incredible. And the best part about his campaign was the only guy in the rookies who had more caused turnovers was Michael Grace, who was in contention for Defensive Player of the Year. CJ Kirst having 19 caused turnovers, no big deal. But to say that Jimmy Dowlick nailed the rookie class out of the park is an understatement. And now I'll get into my top 5 Rookie of the Year, all right? So let's break this down again. This was my submitted ballots. Do I agree with the people who voted? I want to make mention, I've been saying to the media, I knew who it was. It's not just the media, it's media, coaches, board of governors, multiple people involved here. I just want to say I apologize if I misled you on that. It works like every other sport pretty much. All right. My number 5 Rookie of the Year, Toronto Rock, Owen Hiltz. This season, Owen Hiltz had the 3rd most goals for rookies, also at 64 points, which was the 2nd most. The thing that, I don't want to take this as a moment to knock Owen Hiltz, but the thing that did not put him up higher was that CJ Kirst was better on his own team, offensively speaking, and he fell off towards the end of the year, but still a phenomenal year for Owen Hiltz. Number 4 in my Rookie of the Year ballots, Sam English of the Toronto Rock. Now, full disclosure, I am in no way going to sit here and act like I was banging the drum of this guy to win. I thought he was, like I said, I had him top, 3rd in my transition player of the year, but I did not think he was going to ever win Rookie of the Year. I thought unless CJ Kirst just fell off the map and Sam English started scoring a hat trick every game. There was no way English was doing that. What he did in transition was mightily impressive, but it was just not better than the first three guys. But still a great year for Sam English. Again, for him, 28 points, including 11 goals, 132 loose balls, did lead the rookies, 7 blocked shots, which I think is an underrated stat, and of course, 16 cost turnovers. Great all-around year. Might be a budding Zach Currier, but I didn't think he was better than the top 3. Number 3 for me, a guy who I already mentioned was tops of the rookies in terms of caused turnovers. Now, Michael Grace also had 6 goals, but this season, Michael Grace was 4th in the entire NLL in caused turnovers. And I think that, to me, did a bulk of the work for him. Obviously, 108 loose balls. And I know thank God we didn't vote on it in the playoffs, because he might have given CJ Kirst a run for his money. Because once Michael Grace went down, the Swarm's offense, for what it's worth, I know you can adjust, it was like right on the fly and adjust to it, but it was an immediate impact, and it did show. And so Michael Grace, I feel better about that now. Number 2, I think the late surge was mighty impressive, man. I can't lie. What Nolan Byrne did the final handful of games was nothing short of legend. Nolan Byrne had 36 goals, folks. 36. And I had this written down before. I got to look it up again. 36 goals is now tied for 9th all time in rookie seasons. And again, a lot of those were in the final part of the season. In fact, I'll go through that again for Nolan Byrne, because we already did the other guy, but hold on. It's loading. Some things I'm like, why do I want to pull this up later? Okay, Nolan Byrne. I've said this stat before, and I'll say it again. The final 5 games, okay? This dude had 36 on the season. Nolan Byrne had 15 goals in 5 games. No one was catching CJ Kirst or even Owen Hiltz until Nolan Byrne pulled that off. He was the Swarm offense. And again, hindsight 2020, what happened when he was gone in game 3? They couldn't score again, or at least not as much. And I think that was a big deal. Again, I'm happy that I put him there now. And number 1 for me, it was the same as my contemporaries. The Mike's winner and my rookie of the year is going to be CJ Kirst. I keep telling people, you can argue for Nolan Byrne, Michael Grace, and Sam English until you're blue in the face. Do you know what separated CJ Kirst? He did it on both ends of the floor. CJ Kirst led the Toronto Rock in goals, which was second among rookies. CJ Kirst had 95 loose balls. CJ Kirst had 19 caused turnovers. He did everything they asked of him times 10. This guy found new ways to score, and in the playoffs he did it again. I know it's only regular season, but there were some goals you were like, that shouldn't be possible. And now CJ Kirst is paving the way for what the next group of unicorn rookies could look like. Great job. As advertised, CJ Kirst was my rookie of the year. He was the NLL's voter rookie of the year. My ballot had number 1. Love that for him. All right, coming up next on this show. If the Toronto Rock are to win the NLL Finals, who are my top 4 candidates most likely to win Finals MVP? Not my picks, but what would be their path forward? Don't go anywhere. You're watching Daily Dive.
You're listening to North American Talk Radio, the all-new talk radio station featuring sports, movies, politics, mental health, and more. Check us out at natalkradio.com and subscribe today. Buy event tickets straight from our website to help the cause and get tickets to your favorite events for less. That's natalkradio.com. Thanks for listening. You're listening to North American Talk Radio, the all-new talk radio station featuring sports, movies, politics, mental health, and more. Check us out at natalkradio.com and subscribe today. Buy event tickets straight from our website to help the cause and get tickets to your favorite events for less. That's natalkradio.com. Thanks for listening.
Welcome back to Daily Dive here on this Wednesday, May 13th, 2026. I'm your host, Michael Karvelis, hoping you were enjoying your day. I just reacted to CJ Kirst deservingly being voted Rookie of the Year. He was my number one guy. I thought Nolan Byrne was 2, Michael Grace 3, Sam English 4, and Owen Hiltz at 5. Still to come on today's show, what's next for Rochester and Calgary? How do they get back to the playoffs, among other things? And also, I'll look at an article I read from Paul Tutka of the Lax Mag as we anticipate who could win the MVP this season, being announced at 4 o'clock Eastern. But for now, speaking of MVPs, how does finals MVP interest you? So, I have been doing a bunch of top fours recently throughout the playoffs, and this day is no exception. So get ready, folks. I know you love rankings. These are, if the Toronto Rock win the finals, not my pick for this, who would be the most likely MVP? And I believe I found a way forward here, and I believe this is a good list, all right? So I'll be honest. I think Nick Rowlett is a sneaky honorable mention. He's not winning it, and I don't even know if Cool Bet will give you an option to vote on him. Or vote, good Lord. Or bet on him. But I just like the chances of, like, what if he beats Withers at the dot and scores a couple of, like, clutch goals? I don't know. I just want to give a shout to Nick Rowlett because face-offs matter. All right, here we go. Number 4 for me. Likely to win Finals MVP if Toronto wins. Number 4, the mailman, Mark Matthews. He is the veteran. When he's healthy, this offense is humming. He's been awesome. And he is a big reason why the Owen Hiltz and CJ Kirst transition to the National Lacrosse League has been great. Yeah, sure. They had experience in Bucks. Yeah, sure. They're really good. But yeah, sure. Mark Matthews is their father figure. Not like daddy, but like he's like their mentor. He's their guide. He's showing the way forward for them. He's getting them open, setting the meanest of mailman screens, all right? Pissing off your dog. Mailman joke. But Mark Matthews could pile up the points in this series. Number 3 for me, though. The rookie, the kid, the aspiring GOAT, CJ Kirst. This kid, did you see Game 3? I know that all weekend long, I was kind of pioneering the how affects Georgia talk because we had 2 of those games. But sneakily, before that series was wrapping up, CJ Kirst, late third quarter, does the dirty work, gets a loose ball, bam, backbreaker. The NLL posted a reel about it. One of the only reels they posted of highlights from that game. He was awesome. And if they win the finals, he probably is cooking. And is it out of the realm of possibility that CJ Kirst, a rookie, wins finals MVP? And how often has that been done? Graham Perro, where art thou? Or I don't believe any of you guys. Number 2, not my pick. It won't even be, it might not be my top 4 picks, but I give Pat Gregoire credit because he said this guy's name on Monday, and I just kind of glossed over it. But Chris Boucher, can we just give the man a little bit of credit here? I told you guys yesterday, Chris Boucher, this season, yeah, sure, cool. CJ Kirst, Owen Hiltz led the Rock in goals. Hey, Who had more goals than Sheldon Rogers, Mark Matthews, or Josh Dowling? Oh, Chris Boucher. Hey, we're in the playoffs now. That stuff doesn't matter anymore. Who has more goals than anybody on the team? Oh, this guy, Chris Boucher. Come on, man. This dude's electric. He has been having, I told you guys Clark Peterson had an underrated year. I think Chris Boucher is right there. If you combine playoffs and regular season, Chris Boucher might be having one of the least talked about great years of all time. Like, this dude has been good, and even I haven't talked about it. I have a daily show. Apologies, by the way. But number one, it's not just because Nick Rose is the goalie, all right? Nick Rose won the narrative. If he plays well and they win, you have to give it to him, right? Like, you would feel bad if you didn't. And what did Halifax do to the last two opponents in the playoffs? I'm curious what you guys think. They had a bajillion offensive resets. Now, do I think if you're Toronto, even if you win, you'd be happy about giving that up? Heck to the no. There's no way. But if the Rock win, it might be because Nick Rose made some saves. He was like, man, I'm exhausted. I shouldn't have even had to make those. But it'll be off the crazy resets. He'll have to stop some transition stuff because Halifax loves to run. It would be Nick Rose. Again, the story and just what Halifax has been doing, Nick Rose has to stand on his head. Which is, again, why I picked Halifax. No offense to Nick Rose, but if they got to Del Bianco and Brett Dobson, you don't think, again, we're pretending, I told you guys Toronto Rock series to lose, right? I believe that. It is because of the offense, not the defense. Defense is awesome. But if you tell me the Halifax is already dispatched of Del Bianco and that defense and obliterated Brett Dobson, this year's Brett Dobson and that defense, why could they not break Nick Rose? And people ask me, hey, why'd you pick Halifax? Really? That's why if they Rock do win this thing, he's doing something, again, the LeBron of the league and the Steph Curry 2016 of the league could not do. Literally, actually, that's a great point by me. Thank you, Michael. I'll save that for last segment. I know NBA fans already know where I'm going, but I'll save that for the Paul Tucker Lax Mac thing. All right, we'll leave that alone. I just realized something while I was talking, but that's okay. Nick Rose, number one, Chris Boucher, CJ Kurz, Mark Matthews. Again, if I had to say the most likely path to finals win, that's, like, it's not my pick. And I'm doing Halifax tomorrow. All right, that's enough of that. So, when we come back, we're going to do a what's next, and we're going to first talk about the high flyers and the disappointments. The Rochester disappointment. The Rochester Nighthawks. How are they going to make it back to the playoffs? We'll try to answer that next. You're watching Daily Dive.
You're listening to North American Talk Radio, the all-new talk radio station featuring sports, movies, politics, mental health, and more. Check us out at natalkradio.com and subscribe today. Buy event tickets straight from our website to help the cause and get tickets to your favorite events for less. That's natalkradio.com. Thanks for listening.
Welcome back to Daily Dive. It is currently 1:24 if you're watching live on the East Coast. Coach Trike said earlier, Sawyer knows how to rookie. Great job. I also want to mention, like what he talked about here, Thunderbird sending Tyson Bell was a big change in transition for the better. It's sad. If you know this show, you know that I become a fan of Tyson Bell, both on and off the court, like the field or whatever. I'll be honest, it is kind of bittersweet seeing how Halifax cleaned up and looked really good. And but the thing is, as good as Tyson Bell played for Vegas, I don't know if he would have actually been a luxury piece right now for Halifax. Because didn't they just get back like a pick in Casey Wilson? Like I forgot like what the capital was for that. And I'm just like, I'm wondering if he stayed there this year, would they have been that much better? Or would they have gone on the run? I feel like a guy like him is not really gonna like kill your team. I think he's gonna do more help for it. So I don't know. But it is something that we gotta talk about though. Like Tyson Bell, since he left, Vegas got better defensively. They still didn't make the playoffs. Halifax went on a crazy run. It feels like convenient timing, but I see where you're going with that. Alrighty. Another one, if you're fans of the show, you understand. What's next? I told you guys before, we haven't touched this in like a week now. I apologize for that. There were so many awards being announced, just had to break free of the trophies there. But this is the header of Panther City, who is now in our hearts forever. So I like to play on their ownership group because I don't think they ever copyrighted this, and if they did, at this point I'm sued and screwed. But we're going to do it for the teams that missed the playoffs and even like didn't make the finals. So now we're up to Rochester and Calgary. We're obviously going to do Rochester first because they finished below in the standings. Rochester finished 6-12. They were 3-6, both home and away. They were a negative 34 goal differential, which was second worst in the league, only to the Wings, which is bonkers. Guys, if you look just like, if you close your eyes and try to remember the season that Rochester had and Philadelphia had, you're saying, oh yeah, Rochester was really good, kind of fell off late, right? For Philadelphia, like one of the worst teams of all time. And then you look at it, and Philadelphia's like, excuse you? Like that is sickening based on the roster construction of Rochester, especially on offense. So, how are they going to go back? Well, number one priority here is Randy Mearns your guy. I would assume he is, but again, it's like Seneca just showed us that, like, they'll fire a coach mid-season, and the fact that the fact that Randy Mearns could not get them into the playoffs or even make a run, I wonder. It might also be up to him a little bit. We'll have to see. But you got to figure out the head coach. Number two, it's time for a new goalie. I said this a month or two ago. I told people I was one of the biggest Riley Hartley fans. I am now done. I'm not saying Hartley could not be great, because Cooper Perkins told us, and as I believe, and a lot of people believe, he might be the best goalie if he played like he did against San Diego week 1 every week. Didn't do that, though. Doesn't do that. Either he's hurt, or this year we found out those antics are off the chain, all right? I believe, and I will say it to him because I still think he's awesome. Change of scenery is going to benefit you if you are a committed athlete. All right, that's my take. I think Riley Hutchcraft is good in fill-in spots for a handful of games. He is not a starting goalie. I'll be honest. It's funny, the next team we're doing is Calgary here. I would love to see Colby Bowman or Aiden Walsh in Rochester. I'm not saying Rochester could not get a bigger time goalie. But if Calgary gets rid of Aiden Walsh, because Kobe Bowman is the second coming of God, I'm kidding. But like, if Kobe Bowman is good or borderline great, then is there a possibility Aiden Walsh is your starter? I don't see why Aiden Walsh couldn't play well. One thing Aiden Walsh showed that Hartley has never shown before is Walsh is mentally I don't want to say Walsh is not mentally stable, but on the floor, Walsh is a steady netminder. And if Rochester had that, they could squeak into the playoffs, all right? Especially with that offense. But, nice segue by me. Thank you, Michael. Do you trade any of those guys on offense? I've said it. Patrick Gore has said it. Other people on other shows have said it. This is not just an original, okay? If you, whether it be Ryan Smith or Ryan Lansbury, whoever it is, could you get a haul for draft picks and or good defensive players? Because they need a better defense. I know the goalies have done the defense no favors. But that also works to where the defense has done their goalie no favors. It is wild. I feel like this year, as a stable Aiden Walsh, they would have been more competitive. They weren't. That means both defense and goalie need to really be evaluated here. And Dan Carey's got to make some tough decisions. I don't envy him. Folks, 239 goals allowed was the most in the league by 10. The other team that gave up the next amount, Las Vegas. And they are atrocious. Remember I told you guys Kells and Bouquet and the goalie stuff there? Yeah, it's worse in Rochester. Which is, again, crazy that they are the same. Folks, if you had told me in the preseason that Rochester would be in the same breath as Philadelphia and Vegas, I would have said, pinch me. That's where we're at. And finally, you need more home fans. I love the fact that Rochester, the last game of the season, had a franchise record. I forgot it that, yeah, I think it dates back to their original team. It's not that team's record, but 9,024 was awesome for that game when they played Georgia. Hello, Swarm. We travel, apparently. But how is every game going to be 7,000 or 8,000? And that's just that should be what you want to do most of the time. So how can you do that every game when Buffalo is not in town? Or Lyle Thompson? I don't know. Interesting. And also, we have found out, to the fans' point of it, as we move on here, we have found out that Rochester, even if you don't like their fans, them puppies seem to be rabid, apparently. Just saying. So, when we come back, though, we got to talk Calgary. The Roughnecks. Don't go anywhere. How can Calgary make the playoffs? We're going to find out.
You're listening to North American Talk Radio, the all-new talk radio station featuring sports, movies, politics, mental health, and more. Check us out at natalkradio.com and subscribe today. Buy event tickets straight from our website to help the cause and get tickets to your favorite events for less. That's natalkradio.com. Thanks for listening.
come on today's show in the next segment is going to be us probably anticipating that Brett Dobson wins league MVP. I'll get to an article that was written by Paul Tutka of the Lax Mag and just how important Brett Dobson, how awesome his season was. I'll also have a comparison I found out earlier today's show, an epiphany, if you will, a hypothesis. Well, from today's show so far, the league did announce that the vote for Rookie of the Year did go to CJ Kirst. It also was my Rookie of the Year, and my vote again was as follows. Number 1 was Kirst. Number 2, Nolan Byrne. Michael Grace was 3rd. Sam English, number 4. And 5th place was Owen Hilt. Shout out to Braden Saris, by the way. If those 5 guys were not insane, Braden Saris might have been in the top 5. But unfortunately, I mean, good Lord. I don't know how you couldn't have those 5 guys in your... I mean, it was tough. On Matthew Pilato, it's sad. Anyways, it's not sad. It's good for the league, but like, wow. There were other guys who were actually good rookies, and we're not even talking about them. I'll probably save that for another segment. Ding, 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 ding. I'm going to write that down. Other rookies. Thank you. All right. Coming up right now, it's what's next. Oh, and I also talked about, I'm dumb, my top 4 likely to win finals MVP if Toronto wins it. Then we did what's next for Rochester. Now we're back to our Panther City graphic. What's next for the Calgary Roughnecks. All right. So I was actually surprised with myself that it was not as bad as it could have been. All right. So this season, just like Rochester, Calgary finished 6-12. And just like Rochester, also went 3-6, both at home and on the road. Calgary was minus 18 goal differential, which was actually as good as Ottawa's. Well, again, coming into the season, if you had told me that the Ottawa Black Bears were going to have the same goal differential with Jeff Tate on their team as Calgary, I would have said pinch me. But again, that's where we are. So, how can the Roughnecks make the playoffs? Number 1, first and foremost, are we going with Aiden Walsh or Colby Bowman? That is a real question and conversation to have. And I told you guys about a year ago when Colby Bowman had a really awesome game. And I was like, man, is he really that historic? He did it 2 more times this year. Has a career save percentage of 92. And I created the CBFC, the Colby Bowman Fan Club, or we've also evolved, and we might just name this will be like our Jedi Council. We're going to call it the Cheeseheads. But that's taken by the Green Bay Packers. We're going to work on the cheese thing, though. Like Colby Elite, something like that. We're going to play with the cheese, all right? It's Colby, not cheddar, you bastards. I don't even know where that came from. But, seriously speaking, Calgary has to figure out if they want Mr. Steady Eddie, Aiden Walsh, or they want what might be a freak in Colby Bowman, and a good freak. Anyways, next up, does Tyler Pace actually stay? Because if he does, that offense was working magic. And it's funny because before the trade deadline, he was good. After the trade deadline, mentally, you knew he was, from what he was saying, was locked in. I know. He's got that performance center in Vancouver, but hey, Pacey, or whatever the Canadians call him, Tyler, TP, come here, son. If you're locked in, y'all could do some wonders in Calgary. Just saying. I also think they're doing like a farewell tour of their arena next year. But hey, I'm just the messenger. Don't shoot me. Finally, we all know. Well, I guarantee you some people they may have forgotten this in their mind, but once I say it, they'll say, oh yeah, Calgary needs to draft well. And you're like, well, why is that? Oh boy. While Calgary had the 4th worst record, they do not have the 4th best draft pick because that's going to Toronto. There's another trade, I forgot which one it was, but they do have the number 10 draft pick. It's not bad. I forgot again which team that is. Let me do it up. Let me look it up. Swarmitup.com. Stand by. It is. Oh, they own the Vancouver draft pick. Now, again, unfortunately, you're at this point now, but currently that would be your spot. Now, you could maybe trade up. Maybe you find a way to trade Tyler Pace. But here's an interesting one. Let's say Rochester, because I was telling this earlier. Let's say Rochester may not want to draft the offensive juggernaut right there at number 3. Shout out to Spencer Conley of Nighthawks Network. He went on to another show recently. I caught little tidbits of that. And he asked Dan Carey, like, what's the draft process like right now? What were you guys thinking? Dan Carey kind of gave him the obviously political answer. Good for him. But Rochester has the number 3 pick, folks. Who says no? This is an honest question. If Calgary gives Rochester, we'll say Aiden Walsh, an exchange and the number 10 pick, in exchange for the number 3 pick. Can we make that work? I'm dead serious about that. Maybe it's another first-round pick. Let me look at next year. They got to have one for next year, right? Yeah, they do have a next year's pick, but I'll be honest, I don't know. It might be better than 10 next year, but Calgary might make the playoffs next year. But then again, the good problem to have in the room is keep Aiden Walsh and the number 10 draft pick, and knowing how good Mike Board is as a GM, draft that number 10 pick. But I'm just saying, if Rochester feels frisky, I wouldn't mind giving up Riley Hutchcraft and the Riley Hutchcraft and the number 3 pick for Aiden Walsh and the number 10 pick, and maybe something else. Maybe another, I don't know. But I'm just saying I feel like that could work. Anyways. So that's that. I think Calgary's close. And we didn't think that going into the year, but that's on us. All right. When we come back, though, I know we've given Brett Dobson his praise. I know he's already been announced goaltender of the year. And based on just looking at what it seems to be in the comments and everything else, it seems like Brett Dobson will win the MVP being announced at 4 o'clock Eastern. I'm not saying he was number 1 on my ballot. But that being said, we have to talk about how great he was, though. Because Paul Tutka, good article. And again, I have a new theory or just a new understand. Oh, okay, we'll be right back. Good Lord Almighty.
You're listening to North American Talk Radio, the all-new talk radio station featuring sports, movies, politics, mental health, and more. Check us out at natalkradio.com and subscribe today. Buy event tickets straight from our website to help the cause and get tickets to your favorite events for less. That's natalkradio.com. Thanks for listening.
Welcome back to Daily Dive. It has been Wednesday, May 13th, 2026. Fun fact, You can get NLL merch at natalkradio.us/NLL. I know it's in your head. I know you want to try it out. Get your merch. United States residents, obviously, and unfortunately. On social media at Daily Dive LAX, by the way, I'm going to be posting the Fresh Fits bracket later, or the voting. So we will see Deacon Knott against Tyrell Hammer Jackson and Dane Smith against, I forgot who it was. Hold on. It was Dane Smith against Ryan Keenan. Bandits Rush rematch. There it is. That was sad. All right. Now, at 4 o'clock Eastern, the NLL will unveil its who got voted most valuable player of the league. I, once again, am not going to tell you who my number one or even my top 5 were. But the general consensus around other shows, comment sections, etc., is that Brett Dobson will probably win MVP, barring a Christmas miracle for Keegan Ball or someone like that. Paul Tutka, who does great work for the Lax Mag, it's the LAXMAG.com, had a he unveiled their goalie of the year, which is funny because he could also do MVP because he said that they were offered a ballot but did not, choose to participate because of the voting process. Good for y'all. However, in this article, Paul Tutka, after naming Dobson number 1 in their goalie of the year, had a great point here. All right. First of all, just to remind people what is going on here in terms of how great of a season this guy had. Brett Dobson had a 7.86 goals above average. Or goals to me average, right? The old record was Aaron Bold, who had an 8.73. Brett Dobson almost had an entire goal better in history. That's ridiculous. Save percentage. I'll say it again because in case you haven't heard. Brett Dobson, 84.7. Doug Jimison, 82.9. It is ridiculous what he did. Goals saved above average, something I can't understand yet. Even when I read this broken down on the Lax Mag website, it said it's basically the hockey's version of baseball's WAR, something I still have never really looked at. It's calculated by the league's average save percentage with the number of shots a goalie has had. The resulting number is the average goals a goalie in whatever league you're evaluating would have surrendered if they took the same number of shots as the goalie you're evaluating. Again, I don't know if that varies year by year. I don't know. All I know is that he was awesome, all right? So, Paul Tutka said, for Dobson to destroy Vince's goal saved above average, it was 48.10 to 34.46, by the way. For him to do so, and then also set new standards in GAA and save percentage in the manner he did, it's beyond mind-boggling, Tutka said. Not only is he being forced to save more shots than the average goalie, he's doing it at an overall rate that no other goalie in history has achieved. He also said, which I think is another great point here, that Dobson was up there for Rookie of the Year behind John Donville. He then had a good year in 2024, but then, even according to him, did not have a great year last year. He said to go from that to what he did this year is unheard of and speaks to his determination, commitment, and drive to improve and elevate his game. He said, greatest point by Paul Tutka in this entire article. If this was any other pro sport, this type of statistically significant and historically important season would have been all everyone was talking about, but unfortunately, not in the NLL. First of all, that deserves a probably my version of mic drop. Like it made your, I shouldn't say, but it made you fountain or WET because it was great. All right, or great job, or just the natural. That Paul Tucker gets all three sound bites. Now, I will go a step further, or maybe just an adjacent step here. In 2016, I believe, or 2015, Steph Curry shattered the three-point makes record. Made over 400 in a season, right? Who was the best player in the NBA? Like, I don't want any Jordan fans to say, oh, it was Kevin Durant. Go to hell. The best player was LeBron James, bar none, right? Everyone knows it was LeBron for a good 10 or 15 years, okay? Whether or not you think he's good or not, again, topic for another show. But what Steph Curry did that year shattered the mold, but also might have ended up, what's the word here? He might have pioneered what was possible. And I remind people, guys who look like me are not the new standard goalie. You want the Del Bianco bouncing everywhere. I mentioned Rylan Hartley, even Warren Hill, Pat Gregoire made a great point that he, even though being a little bit bigger guy, can bounce around the net. People get mad at Nick Rose because he's an angles goalie and sometimes can't make them miraculous save. I wonder if Brett Dobson either this will, now granted, Steph Curry, for the record, has not been touched again. Well, that's good Lord. His record has not been touched again, right? I'm not saying Brett Dobson's record will be touched again, but will we see higher save percentages because of these reactionary freak athletes? I'm wondering. And I'll also mention this. Caitlin Clark, and the reason I'm bringing her up is because for years, I thought it would be Brianna Stewart, who's been awesome, Asia Wilson, sure, Maya Moore, all of these. I thought Sabrina Ionescu was going to be awesome and change the WNBA. Caitlin Clark changed the WNBA because she was taking shots like, oh, that should not be possible. But the more she does that, the more every little girl wants to do it, right? So naturally, now all these other people trying it gets better and better and better, and more athletes are trying it, right? Brett Dobson, if LA 28 not only explodes lacrosse, but makes kids want to play box lacrosse, praying, God Almighty, I'm praying, he might have just been the first of a crazy, awesome generation. It's possible. Again, great article by Paul, and also I think my Steph Curry analogy might be pretty good there. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in, folks. Tomorrow, by the way, we will do my MVP rank, and I'll also react to who the MVP ends up being at 4 o'clock. I'll do my top 4 most likely to win finals MVP if Halifax wins it. And then we'll do what's next for Ottawa and Las Vegas. We might throw another topic in there, but that's how we're looking right now. So, also a reminder, Friday, we'll have an NLL Finals preview. I will make another prediction. I'll see if even I can stop Tim Dillon at this point. And I'll give you my finals MVP pick. But until then, until tomorrow, we will see you tomorrow. We will see you tomorrow. Same time, same place, 1 o'clock Eastern, right here, North American Talk Radio's YouTube channel. Until that point comes, I'm your host, Michael Karvelis, saying have a great rest of your day. Have fun. Chat us up on social media. Watch more box lacrosse. This has been Daily Dive. Bye.